Malamar was a dark psychic Pokemon introduced in Generation 6. Known as the Overturning Pokemon, this squid possesses a strong ability Contrary, which when combined with Resto Chesto's superpower can be a huge problem. Let's check it out. Fellow trainers, let's get into the first battle as I start with my Bombirdier and my opponent leads with the Ogie Dogie. On the first turn I go for that Brave Bird, get that huge damage, but he just hangs on and goes right for the bulk up. My bird is unfazed, goes for another Brave Bird, takes out the Ogie Dogie. My opponent's next Pokemon is the big box legend, the Zekrom. Expecting an electric move, I go right into my Landorus, get the Intimidate going, but he makes a great play, gets that Substitute up. With the Substitute up, I expect him to go for the Dragon Dance, so I go for the Taunt and completely ruin his setup. Not wanting to lose Zekrom, he switches into the Gliscor, who flies right above my Earthquake. And now Landorus is completely walled. He then Toxics my Landorus, but I don't want to deal with that, so I decide to U-turn and use that to pivot right into the star, the Malamar. I figure Gliscor can't do too much, so I'm going to use this opportunity to set up. As he goes for the Toxic, I go right for that Superpower. We start getting those boosts ASAP. Not respecting the Malamar, my opponent then goes for the Stealth Rock. I go for another Superpower, get another double boost. With 2 boosts, my opponent finally realizes that Malamar is a threat, goes for the Protect as I go for another Superpower, do absolutely nothing. At this point though, it's almost too late. Gliscor fires off an Earthquake, does absolutely nothing. I go for another Superpower, get that 3rd boost. It's clear at this point my opponent is just trying to stall me out with the Toxic, but then I'm about to reveal the super secret tech. As he goes for the Protect, I go for the Rest, get rid of the Poison, go right back to full health. Gliscor fires off another Earthquake, Malamar eats that up. I then fire off the Sleep Talk, thankfully get the knockoff, get that huge damage, and remove the Toxic Orb. Trying to preserve Gliscor, he goes for another Protect, but he's only delaying the inevitable, as my Sleep Talk into knockoff does nothing. With 2.5 times our attack and defense, we eat up that Earthquake, no problem. We finally wake up, go for the Superpower, Gliscor just hangs on. With a last-ditch effort, Gliscor fires off the Toxic, trying to get some residual damage. Malamar doesn't mind, goes for the knockoff, takes out Gliscor. My opponent then reveals their 4th Pokemon, the Misdreavus. Right off the bat, they reveal the Terra Fairy, but I reveal my own Terra Poison. They go for the Draining Kiss, tank that no problem. I go for the knockoff, get some big damage, get rid of the Eviolite. The Fairy Ghost then tries to change up their strategy, goes for the Shadow Ball, we tank that no problem. Go for the Rest, get rid of the Poison, go right back to full health. They fire off another Shadow Ball, does some good damage, but actually gives us a special defense boost. We then go for the Sleep Talk, able to fire off a knockoff. Misdreavus just hangs on. The Ghost then fires off one more Shadow Ball, actually gives us a 2nd special defense boost. We go for the Sleep Talk, able to go for another knockoff, finally take out Misdreavus. With a nice lead, my opponent then goes back into their Zekrom. Zekrom goes right for the Substitute, but at this point I know I'm going to wake up this turn, so I go for another Rest, just to get back to full health. The Electric Dragon then tries to get his own setup going with a little Dragon Dance. Malamar doesn't mind, we go for the Sleep Talk, able to fire for Superpower and get one more boost. Zekrom then fires off the boosted Bolt Strike, Malamar tanks that no problem, retaliates with the Sleep Talk, goes for the Superpower, takes out Zekrom. Malamar's on a mission, able to prove that even the legendary Pokemon can't stop him, as my opponent then goes into the Koraidon. Right away they go for the Collision Course, but Malamar's able to laugh off that damage, finally wakes up, goes for the Superpower, takes out Koraidon in one shot. My opponent then reveals their last Pokemon, the Azumarill. Malamar's finally able to outspeed, goes for the knockoff, gets some huge damage, they go for the Liquidation, do barely anything. My opponent then forfeits. Good game. Let's get into the second battle as my opponent leads with the Mesprit and I go with my Goldango. Right away I fire off the Shadow Ball, get that good damage, Mesprit retaliates with the knockoff, gets rid of my Scarf. Not wanting to lose Mesprit, he then switches into the Sneasler, as I decide to fire off another Shadow Ball, get some solid damage. Now able to outspeed, Sneasler goes for the Throat Chop, takes out Goldango. My next Pokemon is then the star of the video, the Malamar. He's able to outspeed, goes for the Throat Chop, I go for the Psycho Cut, take out Sneasler. My opponent then reveals their 3rd Pokemon, the Pikachu, as I switch into my Roaring Mood, get that Photosynthesis boost. Pikachu rips off a Volt Tackle, gets me down to about half health. Unfortunately for me, he then reveals the Play Rough, takes out Roaring Moon. My next Pokemon is the Alolan Sandslash. Unfortunately, Pikachu outspeeds, gets big damage with the Volt Tackle, but I'm finally able to take him out with the Earthquake. With the game tied up, my opponent then reveals the Palafin, able to outspeed, he goes for the close combat, takes out Sandslash. I then go back into the star of the video, the Malamar, as my opponent hard switches into the Metagross. I fire off a superpower, get about a third with the crit, but start getting those good old boosts. Metagross then reveals a Terra Water as I go for the knockoff, get rid of the band. He then retaliates with a heavy slam, then follows the red with the bullet punch. Malamar's just able to survive as I go for the rest, get all the way back to full health. We eat that Chesto Berry and wake up right away, go for a superpower, take out the Metagross. My opponent then goes back into the Mess Spirit, goes for the Encore, but Malamar does not mind. I go for another superpower, get another boost. Not wanting to deal with Malamar, my opponent then goes for the U-turn, uses that to pivot into his last Pokemon, the Flapple. I go for another superpower, get that big damage on Flapple with another boost. Flapple fires off the Grab Apple, does barely anything, and actually gives me another defense boost as I go for the superpower, take out the Flapple. My opponent then forfeits. Good game.